Hello, craft beer friends, and welcome to Season 8, Episode 10 of Tap to Craft Podcast. I am Denny Lewis, coming to you from Boise, Idaho, and my partner in craft, the dog whisperer, and my favorite Florida man, also known as Drinking Eagle from Tampa, Florida, Mr. Chris McKenzie. How you doing tonight, Chris? And of course, what is in your glass?
Denny, it's been a long day, and it's gotten better now that I'm on here chatting with you. Let's just say that. But in my glass tonight, I'm actually drinking something from Drekker Brewing Company out in Minot, North Dakota.
Why
not? Having some pizza Toots.
Ooh, something like a good pizza toot.
Yeah, I got a pizza Toot. Super hazy orange juice looking IPA over here, and it's easy to drink. And let's see, where's my ABV on here? Well,
Hidden.
It's hidden.
Covert.
Oh, 7% alcohol by volume. Yeah, so that's a really tasty beer. What about you? How's your day going, and what's in your glass tonight?
Well, my day is going okay, considering it is the first day back to work after a week off, which felt nice.
Mm-hmm.
So I might be a little tired because, you got after a week of not doing your normal hectic job, it builds up. So I did a pretty good job knocking everything back down to normal. And it's only a 4-day week for me because I taken Friday off too. So I'm going to have a 3-day weekend.
Nice.
And it's going to be good. So I'm doing well. Do I look well?
You look fantastic. The beard's coming in great for the winter season.
Beard's coming in, yeah.
I mean, you can't really ask for much more.
Yeah. And the weather is completely bizarre because it snowed the day before. No, it snowed the day before Thanksgiving. I don't know. Last week it snowed the first time. It didn't stick. It was just like some small flakes, and then it had some bigger flakes. I'm like, okay, now this is more like November. And then what's happening this week? We're back up to 55, 60 degree weather again. I'm like, don't they understand? It's almost December. You don't have 60 degree or 55 to 60 degree weather in Idaho in December. That's just unheard of.
But you could.
So
you could.
Yeah. Well, we are. So I guess it is possible. But that's how we're doing. But what I have in my glass today is Anchor Brewing's.
Oh, very nice.
It says right here, it says our special ale. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year 2021. And I've been lucky enough to get a few 6-packs of this beer. And I've been enjoying it. Sarah loves this beer. I love it. This year I really enjoyed this one, and I think I gave it a 5-cap rating a few weeks ago. I don't remember, but after drinking a lot more of it now, I might bump it down to a 4.5 because it's a good beer. Don't get me wrong, but now I'm thinking that some of the other previous years versions were a little bit better because now I drank a lot of it, so I can really gauge it. But it's a nice dark, warm. It's not it's a nice rich dark beer with some very light Christmas spices in there that just gives it it melds perfectly with that darker malt, and I just really enjoy this beer. And some years it's really hard to get because people will go and buy it all out real quick. We won't get as much in the area, but I think they must have upped the amount that we're getting locally here in the Boise area because I've seen pallets of it. Wow. And so I think that we're getting a lot more. So I've been enjoying it while it's here. In fact, I've drank more of this, I think. I've had a couple 12 packs of Jubilee already, but I'm kind of enjoying this style a little bit better than Jubilee this year because it does have a little bit more complex flavor, and I'm enjoying it. And I think I actually rated Jubilee a little bit lower than I normally do too. I think I normally give it a 5. I think I gave it a 4 this year. So that's that. But yeah, that's what I'm drinking. You mentioned before we got started that you've been busy. You've actually drained your phone dead. You had to go find a charger. Did you find a charger by the way?
I did. I'm all hooked up, ready to go. So
Okay.
we're
Because you were outside doing what? What were you doing outside?
So I was outside pouring concrete today. So I had my phone was playing some music while I was doing a repair on the driveway, and I had to put a drain on my battery. So I had to make sure I found some. Oh, you also asked me too, why am I wearing a hat? Because it was sunny outside today and I didn't want to get the sun in my eyes, so I left a hat on. And you asked me, well, is it because your hair's all messed up? Yeah, probably, because I've had a hat on all day.
You still look good. No worries. So you're a concrete man too. You're a man of all kinds of skills.
Well, I mean, I watched enough of it on YouTube. I figured it was time to go ahead and start trying it.
Okay. Did you have any beer while you were pouring that concrete?
No, because I didn't really have time to do it. Once I broke out the pieces that I needed to get out, and I went over to the wheelbarrow and mixed up the 3 bags and got everything up and running. And I poured it, smoothed everything out, and went inside.
Okay.
After I cleaned everything up.
No problem. Yeah. Well, good. So now you can relax after all that manual labor today and just enjoy chatting about beer.
Yes.
So let's get started.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, let's do it. But, before we get into the meat of the show, we always like to explain to anyone new listening to Tap the Craft podcast what we are all about. We are an educational podcast. We focus around celebrating all things craft beer because we want to assist you, our listeners, along in your craft beer journeys and adventures. And you're listening to episode 192. We're recording on Monday, November 29th, 2021. And we are live on Facebook. So just keep in mind that every Monday before the show releases, we get on Facebook at 8:30 Eastern time and we record. And you can watch us on Facebook like we have several people doing right now and interact with us with the message there. And we can answer your questions or make comments, or, repeat your comments to the show. So we welcome you to go and join us on Facebook during our recordings. And in this episode, we are going to revisit why you should drink your quality craft beer from a glass or glassware or some kind of a vessel, and provide you with a couple suggestions for the type of glass you should have on hand. And this is kind of in reference to the voicemail that Bill Schlemmer, I guess I can call him Bill now, he left for us. And this is one of the things that he said, hey, you know what? If you had, I think he said 5 glasses or 3 types of glasses. Well, I picked 3 types of, I picked more. It's kind of a trick question because I actually picked more than 3, but I have 3 types of glassware I think that everyone should have on hand when you drink beer. And we'll talk about that in the Brew Buzz segment, as well as some other great conversation along the way. Now, I said this, I told this to Chris, and you know what? I always make a liar of myself, but this show and the next show, because it is the end of the year, I think we're going to try to keep the shows a little shorter and just get in, get it done and get out, because everyone has a busy, hectic holiday schedule. We know that Chris and I, we need time to take care of our holiday stuff. And I know you guys probably need the same thing. So we won't waste too much time. And Chris and I would like to thank all of our Patreon supporters, because this episode is brought to you in part by our satisfied Patreon supporters like Mike Allen, Bill Schlemmer, and Amanda and Kevin Argauer, who are our virtual producers, and Tom Byrne, Jeff Seiler, Johan Halberg, Tara Carlson, Chalamasa, Mark Church, Matt Knight, and Eric Goronley, who want to buy us a virtual beer. If you enjoy the content we provide, we invite you to support the show by toasting your host or buying us a virtual beer or even becoming a virtual producer. You can explore the options on our support page by visiting patreon.com/tapthecraft. All right. Well, we don't have any feedback. I was surprised that we didn't have any feedback with some of the people's bee breweries that they might enjoy, or some comments on the Sierra Nevada Celebration Ale that we did tasting notes on, but that's okay. We don't have to, people don't have to call in or write us emails every single episode.
Yes, they do.
But Yeah,
they
they
do.
kind of do. But if you do want to leave us a voicemail and get your voice heard on the air, you can do that by sending or by calling 208-536-3359, or if it's easier for you to remember, 208-53 oddly. Just leave your voicemail. We'd love to hear from you and answer your questions. And if you'd like to contact us by other means that's more to your liking because you don't want to get out there in the public, you can do that easily through email. Just write us at tapthecraft@gmail.com. Or if you're more into the social thing, we've got a Twitter and Instagram account at tapthecraft. And of course, facebook.com/tapthecraft for our podcast. What is that?
Social
Community page. I guess,
yeah, there we
right?
go.
Yeah. And interact with us and join us live for a recording one time. We'd love to have you.
Jim
Okay,
Kudzall
Chris.
said he's drinking Celebration now.
There you go. Yeah, I'm
See?
still drinking Celebration. I know you probably are too, Chris, right?
I still have a few cans in the fridge. It's funny that you mentioned that I was wearing this shirt our last episode, which I thought was kind of funny. That's okay. It's a sweet shirt. I love this shirt. It's so comfortable. I bought it at the brewery when we were there a couple years ago. So I like this shirt a lot.
Nice. It looks good. Looks good. Is it a V-neck or is it just kind of
just
sagging?
It's a little saggy.
Yeah, from all the sweat you're doing. Okay.
Maybe.
All right, Chris. Well, hey, let's continue the conversation because now it's time to untap the craft and see what our listeners are drinking according to Untapped.
All right. So we're going to start with David Martin from about 8 hours ago. He is drinking a Space Trash by New Grass Brewing Company. Gave it 4 cap rating. No notes or anything on that. So let's see. Move on up to the next one. Bill Schlemmer is drinking a Toasted Bock by Jacob Leinenkugel Brewing Company. Easy drinking. No strong flavor stands out. He gave it 3 3/4 caps for that beer. And that's a brewery you don't hear much from anymore.
Well, you don't hear about beers other than like the shandies and lighter ones, right? It's nice to see that they have a Bock. I wonder if that's only like local in Wisconsin, where you can get some of these varieties that are more, unless it's a Christmas, maybe they have a holiday box, like a sampler pack. Maybe I'll look for that. And I'd like to taste what their Bock tastes like, because I mean, I will admit, there are other beers, there are summer beers that I call that are really easy to drink and light alcohol. They actually taste pretty good. It's just the problem is that I just feel like, it just needs to, I mean, it's good for one, but I don't want to drink more than one, right? Because they are kind of sweeter and they are fruity. A lot of them have fruitiness. And that's, I like to drink a beer that has a little bit more beer taste to it. So if you don't like the beer taste, then these are great, but I enjoy the beer taste. So they're great to have one or two and like, oh yeah, that's nice. And, but I would like to try their Bock. So maybe I'll look for their sampler. Maybe they have a holiday sampler that has more variety of winter type ales that I'll try to find.
Maybe. Next on the list is going to be Mr. Mike Allen drinking a Bourbon County brand 14 stout from this year. Wrote outstanding subtle notes of cinnamon and nutmeg. Gave it 4 3/4 caps for that beer. That reminds me, I need to go over to my local beer store and see what Bourbon County variants showed up in our area.
Yeah, they showed up on Black Friday.
Yep. And interestingly enough, about a week ago, there were still some on the shelves at our local
from last year
store. Yeah. I don't know what they did with them, but they are no longer there. So,
okay.
Let's see. So moving on up the list, Mike is also drinking a S'mores by Wicked Weed Brewing. That's a good beer. He said it's very reminiscent of its namesake. 4.5 caps for that beer. Let's see. Art Warcheck is drinking an Oro Negro from 2015 by Jackie O's Brewery. Found another one. He says these really do hold up. 4 1/4 caps for that beer. That's a really good beer. I do like that one.
He found that in the back of his fridge. Just
probably. Yeah. He's the beer buyer at our former local grocery store. And it wouldn't surprise me
That's right.
that he's got all kinds of nonsense in the back of his fridge. The Gnarly Gnome is drinking a 2020 Dark Charge Double Mole by Braxton Brewing Company. And he said, chocolate and cinnamon on the nose, big, bold flavor, smooth and creamy with a ting of pepper heat in the back. Really, really aging nicely. Perfect for this time of year. Pumped for this year's release day.
Okay. Who was that had that beer?
The Gnarly Gnome.
Okay. So he doesn't rate anything.
Nope, just notes. And continuing his check-in streak for the now 11,000th show in a row. I hope I didn't go backwards from last time. Chad Lamassa is drinking a Nuclear Blonde by Maryland Beer Company. Beautiful can art featuring Marilyn Monroe. Nice biscuity flavor. I hope it's the beer you're talking about, not Marilyn Monroe. He said quite good. 4 caps for that beer. Let's see. Jeff Seiler. I was talking to my brother about this beer the other day, Jeff. Christmas Ale by Great Lakes Brewing Company. Delicious winter seasonal from Great Lakes. Probably my favorite Christmas ale. Thanks, Santa. 4 1/4 caps for that beer. Okay, let's get weird for a second.
Okay.
There was a couple of years ago, 6-7 years ago, they made a batch of that Christmas ale that I heard so many people tell me that it gave them diarrhea.
Really? Interesting.
Let's get even more weird. I was one of them.
So it gave you diarrhea
Yeah.
after just drinking one, or did you drink like a bunch?
No, I think we had like 3.
You mean you drank 3 at one time and it gave you diarrhea?
Well, no, and not like I'm just like, okay, let's pound this one down. Okay, let's get no, it was just over the course of a night. And then it was
and it all came out.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's what I was talking to my brother about, because I love to talk about just random nonsense. He's the one that was telling me about that 8-bit Christmas movie.
Okay.
So now I got to go see it. And you told me about it. He told me about it. You ruined the ending, but whatever.
No, that wasn't the ending. I didn't tell you the ending. No, the ending's not ruined. I just told you one of the jokes in it.
No, I'm just messing with you. Jeff Seiler is also drinking I Don't Want to Be a Pirate by Divine Barrel Brewing. He said,
said by nobody.
I do want to be a pirate. But
Yeah,
you know
everyone
the
wants to be a
rule.
pirate.
In order to be a pirate, you have to start drinking like rum at 8 a.m.
Okay.
with an eye patch on.
I'll even put 2 eye patches on.
Yeah. Big dark chocolate and coconut imperial stout, like a liquid Mounds bar, if you like that kind of thing. Yum.
I do.
4 1/4 caps for that beer. Let's see. Next on the list, Will D is drinking a 1906 Reserva Especial by Hijos de Rivera at Columbia Restaurant. Columbia Restaurant? The one here? Nope. Celebration, Florida. So about an hour north of here. 4 cap rating for that beer. And that was checked in about an hour ago. And Matt Knight is drinking a Bananas Foster Scotch Ale. Ooh, that's
he's
nice.
checked into that a couple times. It sounds interesting.
I had a Bananas Foster beer about a year ago and really enjoyed it. This is by Rohrbach Brewing Company. And he said, so many well-blended flavors, great dessert beer, 4 1/4 caps for that one. Drinking it in his signature Legend of Zelda glass. And that, Denny, is what everybody is drinking.
That's it? Wow, that was a short one.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's trying to get back into that swing of things. They drank way too much over the holiday.
Yeah, I have to admit I'm one of those. Like I think I mentioned earlier in the show that I did have last week off, and I did have my grandson 4 days, one overnighter. And so when he went back home, I definitely jumped into the alcohol a bit to relax.
How old is he now?
He'll be 5 next month.
Wow.
In December.
That went fast.
5 years old. I know. He's getting a big boy.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a good boy. I mean, he did do of the 4 days, there's only one day he misbehaved. And that was last day. And that was this Saturday. And that was the only day he really made Grandpa mad.
Mm-hmm.
and then I commenced drinking after he went home, because I had we watched the Civil War, the Oregon Ducks versus Oregon State Beavers
Mm.
game, and I had some friends come over, and so he went home, and then we watched the game and drank some good beers,
Good.
and had a good time. So yeah, it was good. It was good. Okay, well, that's what everyone's drinking. Some good beers in there. It was a little bit lighter than I was expecting, but it's okay. We're having a short show, so we'll just move on into the Brew Buzz. Look how fast we're going. We're already the Brew Buzz. And the Brew Buzz is devoted to discussing various beer-related topics. And this week, as we already mentioned, we will discuss why you should drink your quality craft beer from a glass. Now, there's a couple of reasons. I already mentioned that Bill Schlimmer, he asked us to talk about a little bit about the importance of drinking, beer from a glass and some suggested glasses that you should have in your collection. So we're going to answer that question just like he asked. We do have another show that we talked early on, like 8 years ago. We talked about beer glasses. Like it was episode like 2, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a long time ago. 190 episodes ago, we talked about beer glasses. So it's okay to revisit them 7.5 years later. So we're gonna do that. But I think I don't have this in the notes, but I want to talk. In my head, I kind of wanted to talk about this when I talked about that book that I reviewed, that where the guy had probed, sent his email probes out to get feedback with questions. And one of the questions that he had on there is it gosh, I can't, I was going to write down the question, but it's something that has to do with how important is it drinking, or how important is glassware to beer? And it was interesting, the amount of variation in how different people interpreted that question, and then how even those interpretations that people did, how they answered them differently based off of that. So one thing I learned that I didn't realize was such a big thing is I didn't realize that people steal beer glasses from breweries.
What?
Yeah.
Who does that?
Now, I have never stolen a beer glass from a brewery. In fact, I am, super, well, just like I always drop a ticket when I'm in a beer festival too. I'm just that kind of guy.
You're just a good guy, Denny.
Yeah. But I didn't realize that was such a big thing. And so some of the answers were, beer glasses are important, but we don't put any branding on them because we don't want them stolen, because, we learned that lesson early on. And I was like, wow, I didn't realize that was a thing. And there was probably like, 20 breweries that made that same comment in the question. So that's one way of interpreting it, is like having branded or glassware. Other way is it necessary to have like, even like what type of glassware is it? Some people said, yeah, we just serve our beer in plastic throwaways and it doesn't matter. Well, that's great. They may think it doesn't matter because your beer sucks and and people don't really, there's nothing that's going to help them. But as we're going to talk about in this discussion we're going to have, there are some benefits to having glassware that is in a certain shape and a certain material.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. So I found those very funny, and all I could think about when the breweries would mention that, nope, doesn't matter. Just I could serve it in a milk jug and it would still sell. I'm just thinking that something's wrong.
That must be the guy with that angry chair.
Yeah. So that's another way they took it. And the other thing was that in the majority of the breweries actually, put some thought into it and said, yeah, we actually, we like to have the right glassware for different types of beer. Now, some of it was as easy as we have 16-ounce glasses for our lighter beers, and then for our big beers, our double IPAs, our big stouts, our Belgian ales or whatever, we have a 10-ounce tulip glass or a partial tulip glass. I can't remember what they're called, but it's like it's a snifter, but it's not like a full bowl, but it's like a combination between it. It's a tulip top, but it doesn't go into a flare at the top. It kind of just narrows to it. and it's like a snifter, but it's I can't think of the name of
but
it.
not. It's
but it's not. Yeah. And so that's one way to look at it. Yeah, alcohol makes a difference, right? You don't want to be serving your 10% beers in 16-ounce glasses. For one thing, you want to charge the right amount for it. And so I don't know. I don't mind drinking big beers in big glasses, but I'm okay with drinking big beers in smaller glasses because now as I'm older, I don't want to be drinking 10% beers, more than one in a 16-ounce pour.
No, that's almost a lot in itself.
Yeah. And then others said, yeah, we pride ourselves in having the right glassware for the beer that we're serving, because for one thing, if they're a specialty beer brewery that just does Belgians, it's very important to have the right glassware for that. Or German beers, sometimes it makes a difference in a fluted Pilsner glass or or a Weizen glass for a wheat beer. There's are important reasons to have those type of glasses. And I'm not going to go in details on all those. Episode 2, it has all the details on the glasses. This is going to be a kind of a short and sweet, just give you a generic understanding of why glassware matters. What senses does it enhance, and what enjoyment can you get? And I think there was only a few of the breweries that said, basically glassware doesn't mean anything. But those breweries, like I said, I can't imagine any real beer person not saying that, drinking out of a bottle tastes the same as drinking out of a glass. No, it's not, not the case. Okay. So I'm off of that thing. So, I went ahead and decided to go and do a little bit of research on this just to get some more modern information from what I had, mentioned 7 years ago. And pretty much the information is the same as what I mentioned before, but I pulled this off of the cicerone.org website, and the article is Why Pour Beer into a Glass? And it's written by Ray Daniels. So I'll have a link if you want to go read it and get some more information from the cicerone.org website. But that's where I pulled this information from, a short, sweet, condensed version that kind of just gives you an idea. So when you put a beer in a glass, it reveals much more of the beer and enhances the overall sensory experience. For starters, you can see the beer, its color, its clarity, as well as the foam head that it forms. As an additional benefit, when you pour the beer into a glass, some of the carbonation is lost, so the beer will contain less gas when consumed. Now, this is important for a couple of reasons. One, if you have a problem like me that doesn't do well with carbonation and it builds up and it doesn't release, then when it builds up, it releases. And when it releases, foam shoots out of my nose and everything. So it's good to release that carbonation.
I feel like I pay to see that.
And make it. Yeah. Well, you know what? You make me drink fast enough, you will see it. Although I haven't had it happen for a long time because I pace myself very well now.
You're a professional.
I am a professional. I am. But releases the carbonation. It also, when it releases that carbonation, it also releases some of the sharpness that the CO2 can add to the beer. It softens the beer up a little bit as well. So that's another reason. And another thing, which I can't remember if it kind of mentions it later on in the article, but also when it's in the glass and that carbonation is coming up, it's also bringing a lot of the flavors with those bubbles up out of that beer, out of the opening, so you have more access to it when you are drinking it and your nose is right there in that glass. Yep. You're going to get a lot more of those flavors and get a better experience. Okay. But flavor provides the most important reason to pour beer into a glass. With the beer in a glass, you have easy access to the aroma and can smell the beer even before you take it into your mouth. This has a significant effect on your sensory experience, so much so that some brewers carefully select the glass their beer is served in and will not accept any alternatives. Indeed, experienced tasters often describe different flavors when served the same beer in different glasses. And I think that honestly takes a special sensory person to be able to tell like this, different flavors. But I'm just going to say that for the most part, as long as you pour your beer into a glass, you're going to get the best experience of that beer that you can get. And then if you want to enhance it a little bit, then we'll talk about some of the glasses that you can get some of that enhancement from. All right, Chris, why don't you go ahead and read the next couple paragraphs?
Excuse me. All right, so here we go. When a glass is selected for a beer, two factors come into play: size and shape. For routine servings of draft beer, the glass size you choose most often depends on alcohol content. While many everyday beer glasses hold about a half liter or a US pint, responsible alcohol service suggests that stronger beers should not be served in those glasses. I get it. In Belgium, where many beers contain 6 to 10% ABV, you'll find a range of smaller beer serving glasses, servings ranging between 10 to 16 ounces. Is that what I was supposed to say? 10 to 16?
No,
yeah.
10 to 6. It went from top
6
to bottom. Yeah.
So 6 to 10 ounces allow for more responsible service of stronger beers.
Yeah, it's saying that the standard is typically 10, but even some beers, they may reduce it down to 6, depending on the strength. But normally, like in American breweries, if they have a smaller globe or whatever, it's usually a 10-ounce glass.
Okay. Sorry, I got quiet for a minute and I was like, wait, did my internet go down? Like, what's happening?
No, you're still here.
Okay. Matt Knight says this guy needs to know how to come up with a decent beer glass set on a budget. Matt, we already talked about that. I don't think you were on that part where it was talking about other breweries' beer glasses. I'm not telling you anything else from there.
Matt's a nice guy, doesn't do the wrong thing.
Nobody told him to do the wrong thing. No, nobody said do the wrong thing. It just said there's ways to get a good set of beer glasses.
Yeah.
The foam or head associated with some beer styles also influences glass size. He says, I'll catch the audio podcast. The tall glasses used for German Hefeweizens typically accommodate several inches of head when filled with a half liter of beer. On the other hand, British pint glasses often leave space for less than 2 centimeters or 1 inch of head on each serving. Thus, beer glassware for different styles often takes head formation and size into account.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it does get into a lot of that. All right. Once a glass has been selected for the beer, it must be properly prepared before the beer is added. While consumers don't need to be concerned about these details, you should be aware that retailers who don't take care in these steps may present you with a beer that doesn't look as it should. Generally, when you're served a beautiful, great tasting beer, you don't think a lot about it. You sit back, you enjoy your beer, and you have a good time. Bars and restaurants that care about great beer service take the time to train their staff, maintain their equipment, and manage their beer so that every serving of beer will make the customer want to stay for another round.
Yeah. So again, this is something else that was mentioned in that book on some of the breweries that really took time to answer questions. And on this glassware question, a lot of the breweries just said, doesn't matter what type of glass it is, as long as it's clean. And that's the key, right? Make sure you're serving your beer in a clean glass. Why? Well, if one thing, it's sanitary, but another thing is that, if you want, when you hold up your glass at a bar and all the bubbles are stuck to the side of the glass, that means that glass is not clean. Whether it's not clean because it still has some soap residue in there, or it just has leftover sticky beer from the previous beer that was left in there or whatever. So something is in there that's not, allowing those bubbles to cleanly come up to the surface, and they're sticking to the side of the glass. That's a sign that those beer glasses aren't clean the best they can. And for me, like if you see them stuck on mine, I reuse my glass quite a bit. Like I'll get a glass and I'll reuse it for 5-6 beers, and I'll just rinse it off in my tap. So, even regular tap water, it's going to rinse off some of that residue, but it's really not going to clean some of that proteins off of that glass. So I will get some bubbles sticking to my glass, as I use it 5 or 6 times. It'll
Look at all the bubbles on my glass. I mean, geez.
no, not foam.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, but yeah. So that's the key. You want to make sure the beer is served in a clean glass. And one of the ways that retailers, bars, and restaurants and stuff will help. It helps with the head buildup as well. Is that if you'll see them go and do that little washing.
They put your glass
upside down on that. Yeah, and it spritzes with water. So that, for one thing, breaks the surface tension on the glass so that the head won't build up as fast. And it also just rinses it out a little bit, right? You get a little rinse in case there's any dust or anything that's got in there. It's not cleaning it. It's just kind of
quick rinse,
rinsing it and preparing it for the beer that's going to go in there. And again, if it's got that moisture, that it's going to pour a little bit better, and the head's going to not collapse right away, and it's not going to cause a big head. It's going to be a lot more maintainable.
You can buy those. They sell those for residential applications now too.
Okay,
they're only like 80.
Home bar?
I was really thinking about it. No, it's like it hooks up. You know how you have the different spots in your sink where there's just normally caps or soap dispensers. Like, it hooks in there, and they give you a piece that hooks into your water line, attaches right to the glass rinser, and you can do the same thing at your house.
I wonder if Sarah will let me. No,
it's $85.
Well, for as much beer as I drink, I could probably get some good use out of it. Okay, so that's the nitty gritty on why you should pour your beer into a glass. Now, let's provide some glassware suggestions. Now, these are my suggestions. Chris might have his other suggestions. What I did is I broke this down into basically 4 sections. All around beer glass. If you just need to get one type of beer glass that serves the best, in my opinion, the best solution to to getting a beer in a glass and performing some of the things that all these glasses do, I'll provide that, what I think, which is my favorite glass, what that is. Also, a beer glass that you recommend if you're going to be drinking strong beers, and some beer glasses that I recommend if you're going to do beer sampling or tastings, and then of course outdoor activities. So I'll start it off here, Chris. The all-around beer glass. This
good
is
beer name for you. Shits and Giggle.
Is it a German?
It's a Marzen lager.
Marzen? Okay, yeah. Okay, so my all-around beer glass of choice is this one right here. And if you're watching, you can see that this is a Willie Becker glass. And I've talked about this glass on air, quite a bit, because I prefer drinking my beer out of this glass of this type of glass than any other glass. And the reason why is a lot of times this is a 1/2 liter glass with an extra 3/4 of an inch on top that makes it so it's about just under 19 ounces, 20 ounce glass. So when you pour in a 16-ounce beer or a 12-ounce beer, even if you pour it heavy, the head still has room to come up and not overflow. And it also has a very slight taper. It comes up at a narrow bottom, and it comes up a little bit thicker, and then comes to a little bit of a taper at the rim. And that allows that head to kind of come back in on itself, so it won't just overflow onto the over the glass and onto your countertop. So it provides a nice room for head, a nice formation of the head, so it stays kind of inside the glass and above it. And it also is a bit of a slender glass. So if you do a lighter beer, it's a multi-purpose beer. You can put dark beers like I have in here, or you can put in light Pilsner beers, because you're still going to be able to see all that effervescence of the bubbles coming up into that, through that beer. So it provides both options. And although it's not as prominent as a Nonic pint, an English Nonic pint, or even a pub glass that has more of a middle, there is a bit of a grip here where it's, you don't have to put a hard grip of your hand around it to keep it in your hand and not slip through. Yeah. And it's also a thinner glass. It's not as thick as those shaker pints. Shaker pints are like like, 3 millimeters thick. And we've already mentioned that in prior shows, is that you pour a cold beer into a non-cold shaker pint, and that the glass sucks the heat out of the beer sucks the heat out of the glass, or whatever happens. It causes the beer to warm up very quickly if it's a thick walled glass, unless it's like chilled. But these thinner ones, it allows it to not suck that heat away as quick, and the beer stays chilled. And it's nice. So the Willie Becker, this is so now I just did all that talking. I actually have some written word here I can read. So I got so carried away talking about my favorite glass. I don't need to have written stuff, but I do have some here. So it's long considered the standard German glass. This glass is very popular for a number of reasons. The glass is conical up to a few inches below the top, where it very, very gently curves back inwards a little. This opening, while not as small as some other beer glasses by any means, is still a lot smaller when compared to a typical conical pint glass. Again, it is due to the opening and the overall shape of the glass that makes drinking out of them so pleasant. While many beer glasses have their optimized for a certain type of beer, most any beer will be delicious when served in this glass, making it a great choice for a home bar on a budget. So here you go, Bill. The Willie Becker glass is a great glass you must have in your home bar.
So okay. I want to read a quick check-in from Mr. Eric Gronley. He said he's drinking a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yeah, way to go, Company. Eric.
And he said, my first of this classic beer, I finally found it after 5 stores randomly checking. It has deep flavors that really work nicely. Berry, cocoa, and spice. Just a well-done winter warmer that is surprisingly bright for how dark it is. Highly recommended. 4.5 caps on that beer.
Yeah.
He also told us, happy Thanksgiving and happy Monday.
Well, thanks, Eric. Yeah, happy Monday. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving weekend in the U.S. It's always nice to, hopefully you really get together with friends or family, or friends and family, and celebrate and eat well and not do too much shopping. That would be good.
Did you do anything for Black Friday?
I stayed home.
Did you?
I chilled. I was my rest. That was my day of rest. And I just stayed home. Now, Sarah and the girls, they went shopping they left the house at 4:30, and they didn't come back until after 1.
No.
So they were gone for quite a while. So I had a nice morning all to myself, just relaxing, watching some TV and chilling.
It's kind of weird now. I mean, there's so many. Eric said the best part was that the beer lived up to the hype I built up in my head. It's
excellent.
It's so weird though, because now you don't have to do Black Friday anymore. You can just do it all online.
Yeah.
But I feel like so many people they like that we got to get up and we're going to go, it's a thing for them. Like you guys used to do, what was it? You used to do a beer festival.
Yeah. The beer festival was back again this year, but honestly, even before last year, when they didn't have a beer festival last year because of COVID, the year before we went, and I was just so disappointed because I'm so tired of half the beer, half the beers pouring are all of Payette's, Imperial Stout with different like twist on it. And I'm just like, I got old of that. When this beer festival first started, it wasn't showcasing all of Payette's beers. They were bringing in beers from around the country that you couldn't get in Boise. And that made it special to come. And it transitioned from that to all the beers from, all these beers from Payette, and then a few that are not that special. We can get these beers anyway. I don't want to drink beers I can get in town. I want to go to that festival and get beers I can't get in town. And that's what changed. So I already made a decision in 2019. I said, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And then 2020 came, we didn't go. And then 2021 came, and they didn't have it in 2020, but 2021 came and reopened it. I just said, I don't want to go and expose myself to the closed environment with people for a beer festival that has lost its glamour, in my opinion. It's not as good. So we bypassed it.
Beer will keep you safe.
Yeah. So what we decided to do is I'm hoping now with this new variant sprouted out, it may keep my buddy Alex from coming back in a couple of weeks. He's supposed to come back in the weekend of December 12th. And we were going to have I was going to have my own black beer festival at my place and invite my friends over to sample my beers that I'm going to provide and have Alex bring some from Israel. And we were going to have our own black beer festival that was more special than just going and drinking other stuff that you can get around. So that may or may not happen. If Alex can't come, I might just postpone our Black Friday beer festival until he can be back in Boise and we can do it together. Cause that's the fun for me to going to Black Friday was doing with all my friends. Right. We had a huge gathering every year that people would come and we had our own little get together and then afterwards we'd go to, do dinner and do Christmas tree lighting and we do all this stuff. And that's what made it special. And so I want to make sure I can, have a special time, when we do that festival. So, yeah. Okay, Chris, why don't you go ahead and, this is my recommendation for strong beers.
All right. So we got the Belgian Tulip with a bulbous body and flared lip. The tulip glass is designed to capture the head and promote the aroma and flavor of Belgian ales and other malty hoppy beers. Mm-hmm. Its short stem facilitates swirling, further enhancing your sensory experience.
Yeah, I think if you're going to pick another glass that you want to have for special beer, I think you have to have a tulip glass, whether it's a full tulip with a full flare or just a half tulip where it has just like a snifter top.
Yeah.
Because those glasses do, allow you to take a smaller amount in. And by having that bulbous bottom, you have a lot of beer down in that bottom, and then it narrows up to a narrow top. It focuses all those aromas right into a narrow spot. So you really get a good dose of all that flavor and aroma. I'm drinking too fast. I'm burping. But so snifter glass is good. It also is very thin glass. So it allows you to cup the glass in your hand and use the palm of your hand to warm it up, because you don't want to drink these big beers too cold.
Nope.
So if you put it in your hand, it warms up that bulb, and that just allows the aromas to come out even more, and warms it up a little bit. And it's a really nice glass. And so, yeah, tulip glass, definitely for strong beers.
I would totally get behind that. I just saw my cousin Eric got on. How are you, Eric? Thanks for jumping on with us for a little bit. Yeah, and that's one of those glasses that that's basically my other beer glass. And it's funny because you and I pretty much have the same kind of beer glasses. I more stick to the yeah, good morning, buddy. I more stick to the pint glasses, mostly because that's what's more readily available.
Yeah. I mean, for one thing, the shaker pint is the cheapest one, like super cheap to buy. Breweries can buy them in bulk. Even if they decide to put their branding on it, it's still not that expensive as buying. You step it up to these Willie Becker, the brewer's going to pay a little bit more. You step it up to a lot of tulip or specialty glasses. Yeah. Those are, even in bulk, they're $4.50 a glass, right? I mean, they can be really expensive, unless you're buying, 20,000. But if you're only buying, 1,000 at a time, that's a big expenditure for a nice glass. Where shaker pints, you can get them for, 99 cents a piece.
$1 a piece. Well, it's like Eric said too, he goes, they're durable.
And they're durable. Yeah, they can take a fall and not break. You drop one of these lighter walled glasses, they're going to break the first time it hits, right? Yeah. You're not going to be able to ding them around in the sink, or other glasses hit them. They're going to break a lot easier.
That's what happened to my Czech Brewing glass.
Oh, damn.
Pour one out for it.
Okay, now here's not necessarily a type. It's like one type of glass. It's for it's a glassware for sampling beers. And these are, taster glasses, right? These little 4 ounce, 5 ounce taster glasses. You can buy them from Amazon or from your glass store or whatever in a set of 4 or 8, or get a couple of varieties. You can get some little tulip ones. You can get little mini pint ones. There's all kinds of different styles. They're not that expensive, and they're great for tasting beers. Whether you are inviting some friends over to do a special bottle opening of a beer that you've been saving and you want to share with a bunch of people, you can, pour small tasters of it and share it. Or if it's a friend that doesn't like beer or doesn't necessarily like a style of beer that you want to have them try, they'll be a lot less hesitant if they see a small little glass to drink it than if they have a big glass. If you bring out a big pint glass, they're going to get scared and say, no, I don't want any. But if you pull out a little easy to, drink little small glass, they're not hesitant. Right. And it's easier for them to say, oh yeah, I'll go ahead and pour me half of that. Right. And then that's only 2 ounces. And if they don't like it, for one thing, they're not wasting that much beer. And if they feel like they have to drink it, they're not drinking more than they really want to drink because they don't like it. So I recommend every home bar have little taster glasses, whether, like I said, have a variety of different styles for different types of beer. And here's the great thing. If you go to beer festivals, then just save the glasses that you have from the beer festivals. And then you have your own collection of little sample glasses. I have probably, of all the times I've been to Black Friday, we just talked about it. They have these little, I don't have any down here. They're all, oh no, I don't have any down here, but I have probably 15 of these little snifter glasses for Black Friday, and they work perfect for just pouring samples and letting people try. And that's what we'll be using for my Black Friday beer festival. I'll just reuse Black Friday glasses because they're perfect. Everyone can get a 4 or 5 ounce taste and off we go.
Well, that's what we're doing too. We're doing a beer event on the 15th of January, just at our training facility.
Nice.
So just invited a bunch of people over and have some food and do a bottle share. And
perfect. Yeah. That's how you can get rid of some of those big beers, some of those Hunapoo beers that you are trying to get down. And I mean, it's great for sour beers too, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to drink a 22 ounce sour by themselves. But maybe you get 4 people together and you now are drinking that in 4 ounce tasters, and maybe people will have 2 tasters that like it. And some people don't have to have 2. They can just have 1 taster of it, and it works good. So have a, keep some sampler glasses around. It's a great option for your home bar. Mm-hmm. All right, Chris, what's the last type of glass that Taps of Craft podcast recommends?
Well, B cups, right?
For what? For why? Why would you have B cups?
B cups. When you're in, see, how did that go?
It's been too long.
It has. It's been over a year, but it's the only plastic beer glass for people on the go, whether you're swimming, hanging out by the pool, boating, camping, hiking. I've taken them to the beach. I've taken them literally all of those places that we've talked about. And they're great because what we were talking about earlier, we were talking about the different shapes in the glasses and how they can help enhance your beer. Eric, you did miss the red solo cup. You said, did I miss the red solo cup? Was that number 1? Yeah, you got in too late, buddy. We said that one before you signed on with us. But yeah, the B cups, they have different shapes in them. This is an IPA glass. They have a lager glass, and they've got the glass for funky beers, and they've got the glass for porters. That's basically stouts. It's just a little wider at the bottom. But yeah, these are, like I said, I pretty much got the same list as you do, Denny. It's just the difference is the first one.
Yeah. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. So we both, Chris and I, cannot recommend B cups for your outdoor activities more. And I think a lot of our listeners have gone and grabbed these things and they're enjoying them. And so, hey, we're not all wrong. It's great for the outdoor types people, barbecues, camping, beach. I mean, nothing's worse than having to go to the beach and hide your beer bottles because they're not supposed to be on the beach. You don't want to, now it's easier because a lot of them are in cans, but craft beer was never in cans until a few years ago. So if you wanted to bring craft beer, you had to bring it in glass. And I remember trying to hide, opening my bottles and stuff and making sure no one saw that I was, breaking the rules. So B cups are good for drinking beer outside of a solo cup.
Well,
solo cups have their purpose for keggers. That's when solo cups are really good.
Those cups are so versatile, though. I think nobody gives them credit
beer
just
pong.
Because no, not like that. I mean, like, yes, they're great for beer pong because they are sturdy. They can take the hit of that ping pong ball. But no, they're so versatile in the fact that they measure for you. They have
that's true. Yeah.
You pour it up to that first lip and that's an ounce. You pour it up to this letter or this line and that's another certain measurement. The next one's another measurement. They're very versatile cups. They just, they get frowned on a little bit in the craft beer community.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did order something new that I also got for Megan for Christmas. That I'll be talking about here, I guess, after Christmas, because it's a device that will hold any size can or any size bottle, keep it cold and insulated.
Oh, for all those hard seltzers she's trying to keep cold.
Yeah, well, she's got the slim 12-ounce cans, and it'll hold the 16-ounce cans or the 12-ounce cans or the bottles or the Yeti Solo Pong Cup. The Yeti, okay. Yeti Solo Pong Cup. That's a $70 solo cup. No, they got 10 cups in beer pong, so you're looking at a $300 set for each side. So you're sitting at about $500-$600 just to play a game of beer pong. Look, Eric, we don't get that bougie in Fredericksburg. You know that.
Okay, so there we go. There's our brew buzz. There's our why you should drink your quality craft beer in a glassware of some sort, and some recommended glassware that you should have in your home bar. Chris, let's get on to our new and noteworthy beers. I see you have a few this week. That's great. Go ahead and start us off.
Yeah, we got to had some free time. I, like you, Denny, I was I was off since Wednesday, and tomorrow is my first day back because we're closed Sundays and Mondays now. So tomorrow is my first day back. But I was able to drink a bunch of good beers while I was off. My first one is going to be a 5-cap rating from Fremont Brewing, their Barrel Aged Dark Star 2016. Man, I always liked Dark Star as is. Yeah. And you know what? Initially it was was bottle, but can art that got me. The dragon on the front of it is really cool. I like that. And then they do the barrel aged versions of it. So not only did they barrel age this one, it was 5 years old too.
Oh, wow. It was 2016, wasn't it?
Yeah. It gave it some time to mellow out, gave it some time to just let all the flavors kind of come together a little bit and just mesh very well. You
see how it holds that head? Look at that glass.
You just poured it too fast. I'm just kidding. But I really enjoyed that beer. I gave it a 5-cap rating. And like I said, I always like Dark Star, but this one was a little more special because it had a couple of years on it, and I really, really enjoyed that beer.
Nice.
Ellipsis Brewing Company here in Florida. Well, I see your Fremont stuff. I don't know if you have 2016 up there.
Yeah, I was looking to see if I have that one. It may not be. I've had a lot of the barrel aged stuff, but it looks like I have a lot of B-bomb ones up there, and Rusty Nail and Last Nail.
Yeah, I missed out on getting Rusty Nail this year.
I know I had some Dark Star. It must be somewhere else.
Well, they had next beer was from Ellipsis Brewing here in Florida, actually out of Orlando, called Don't Go Chasing Waterfalls, and this one was a sour Berliner Weiss, bunch of different fruits that were in it. And I remember tasting this one, taking a quick sip and going, oh, that was really good, and going in for another one right away. But it it was nice. It was light. The fruit wasn't just overpowering, super sweet or anything like that. Let's see. Don't go chasing.
Where's Ellipsis? Is that a Florida brewery?
Yep. So they are just north of the Orlando airport.
Oh, okay.
Our Berliner treated with a lot of TLC. Oh, that's cute. And a medley of orange, pineapple, coconut, peach, strawberry, and banana taste like a tropical punch. But yeah, I really enjoyed this beer. And I drank this at our work Thanksgiving party. So
yeah,
we kind of had a bottle share there as well. So
nice.
But that beer I gave 4.5 caps to. And then last on my list is going to be from Cigar City, from their El Catador Club. Got a beer called Watch That 10 Gallon. And it's a barrel-aged strong ale. And I really like the words that they put with it in their description on Untapped. That was, your Bronco bucking friends will never place their cowboy hat on a bed for fear of bad luck or worse. Hang on to this cinnamon-forward coconut rum barrel-aged strong ale for longer than 8 seconds, and you'll be rewarded many times over. 4.25 caps for that beer. And this was just another beer that it sat in the barrel long enough to get some good barrel flavors in it, but it was the coconut rum barrels, so it imparted some other flavors into it. And being a strong ale, I couldn't really say no to it. So I did enjoy being able to try that one. And I think there is another bottle of that in my fridge too.
Oh, wow. So, nice.
They are really spoiling us with that, the 2 smaller bottles.
Yeah.
In this version. And I did renew for my next version for the next one. So I guess this is the things that we do.
Is it an auto renew? You just forget to. Oh,
no. So this one was different because now that beer events and things are getting back into normal life, if you'd like to call it that. One of the things that is supposed to come with your El Catador Club membership is a member party. Oh, well, we got a 17-minute heads up because they do everything on the Ozner app, OZNR. If you check out their app, they sent us out an email 17 minutes before the tickets went live, and it was free. If you were a El Catador Club member, it was free. Now, on the bottles that I get, Denny, it says this is bottle number 286 of 2000.
Okay.
Now, when you get a bottle, you get 2 bottles. They're the 7 or 16 ounce bottles. They're not, not the super big ones, but you get 2 of those for each beer that gets released. So you can drink one now, drink one later, trade them off, whatever. And you got to figure if there's 2,000 bottles, that means there's 1,000 memberships. Well, the tickets went live for this party and sold out in about 5 minutes. So
it never really went live. They went live for the Calidor Club, and then
they went live just specifically for the club members.
Yeah,
this is for members only kind of thing. And I was like, oh well, what about if you get one? Can I buy a second one? Maybe my wife can come. And they're like, no, it's members only. If your wife has a membership, she can come, but no. And they sold out in 5 minutes. Again, you didn't pay for it. It was just whoever got the tickets got the tickets. So
how many tickets do they have?
I have no idea. Something tells me they had like 50 as quickly as they went. They had like 50 because it was really cool. What the party was going to be was, hey, we're going to be bringing out bottles of some of the stuff that you guys have already had in this most recent version. Plus, we're going to be cracking open bottles from our cellar and our collection. If you want to bring something with you. Let's have some beers to share. And I was like, oh man, this is going to be cool. And they gave us 17 minutes, a heads up. So there's a Facebook page that you get invited to as well if you get into the El Catador Club. And night, Eric, thanks for hopping on with us. So many people bitched about it that they offered a second night.
Oh,
I was like, okay, cool.
Did you get in?
The second night is on Tina's birthday. I can't do that. So we've already got that day planned out. I was like, so great. I won't be going to that one.
Well, maybe you could have got one and then traded it.
I tried.
Oh,
I tried. Yeah. So I asked somebody said, oh yeah, well, I'll totally do it. Well, I was also at work when the second set of tickets went live, and they also disappeared in record time.
wow. Okay. You gotta be quicker.
So, well, not only that. So here's what happened. As we were talking about the renewal period, does it auto renew?
Mm-hmm.
They are now switching it down to 500 memberships now.
Mm.
And you were automatically guaranteed a spot if you've been in since, what do they call them? They call them volumes. So like we're on volume 14 now. So each one that they do, it's a, next volume. And it said, if you've had a membership since volume 8, I'm sorry, they call it editions. If you've been in since edition 8, you are guaranteed a spot. I started my membership in edition 7.
Oh,
so I just made the cut, right?
There you go.
So I renewed, and that was the whole reason that I got into this club in the first place, because it was this exclusive thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, if you weren't part of it, you had to enter a lottery to become part of it. If you won the lottery, then you get the chance to get in. Well, now it's like, they're like, hey, we got memberships available. Anybody want some? We got memberships. Come on, you can come in. And I'm like, it's not so cool anymore, because anybody can get in now, not just, you put some time in, or you've been in this thing for the past 5, 6, 7 years, or 5, 6, 7 editions. So it was just kind of nice that they are toning it down a little bit, because man, I was a little disappointed that I couldn't go to either one of those parties.
Yeah.
Even if it was or wasn't with a +1, it sucks, man, because I'd love to do that, because they were also touting how, hey, some of the marketing team's going to be there, the brewers are going to be there, kind of sharing what might be coming up in the next editions and stuff like that too. So,
okay.
All right. Well, let's get off of my soapbox for a while. Let's hear about some of your new and noteworthy beers.
Okay. Well, I've got a few. I'll go quick. The first one, 5-cap rating here. Yes, 5-cap. We both, Chris and I, had a 5-cap rating from E9 Brewing out of Tacoma, Washington, a collaboration with Upright Brewing out of Portland, Oregon. This is called Snakehips, and it's an Irish dry stout. And I love this beer. I'm a huge fan of Irish dry stouts because I like that style anyway. Yep. And when one hits all the keynotes of what I enjoy in an Irish stout, it's no brainer. It's a 5-cap rating. And this one did. This was so good. I said perfectly made Irish stout, really good. And I could drink this all day long. And if you can drink an Irish stout like all day, then that's a good Irish stout right there. 5-cap rating. I can't, none to say. It was fantastic. And I'd buy this beer every day if I could.
So what are some of the things that you look at when you're talking about an ideal Irish stout or dry Irish stout? What are you looking for? So
I want it to be lighter bodied, not heavy. And so I want that, but I don't want it to be watery or thin. I want it to be, it's like a perfect blend of the body where it's not too heavy, not too light. I want to have I want to have some roasty notes to it, but not overly roasty, and not necessarily coffee notes. I want to have just strong dark roast notes in it that doesn't linger on with bitterness, but also not sweet. And it has to have a dry finish, of course. And those keys, and it doesn't have to have chocolate or anything in it. It just needs to have that, I don't know, just that roasted note, but not burnt, and not, right. It has to be just right. It's like, it's hard to explain. I just know when I taste it, and it's a beer that doesn't overstimulate my senses. It's just like, it just tastes good, and it's not heavy. And I drink it and I want to drink another one right after it. And it's a stout, right? So if you can do that with a stout, then that's a good beer. And so that's my type of Irish stout that I really like.
No, and then those, I really enjoy those beers too. The dry Irish stouts. And I think that roastiness / dark chocolate that you get from it too.
I guess like some dark chocolate. Yeah.
And it's
not milk chocolate, but more darker chocolate.
It's almost like that, just more cocoa than anything like
Mhm.
that. If you were to look at a chocolate bar, like 70% chocolate or 70% cocoa and higher.
Yeah. Yeah.
But also too, whether it's on nitro or CO2, you also there's definitely some creaminess that go into them as well.
So yeah, Irish Stout is one of the beers I don't mind having on nitro if the base of it can handle the nitro, right?
Yes.
It doesn't lose it all, because I do enjoy that creaminess, but but yeah, so nitro, I can do an Irish Stout on nitro. Again, it kind of reminds you a little bit of Guinness, but this one was better than Guinness in my opinion. It's just got just a little bit bigger flavor than Guinness has, but similar to what a Guinness is. Okay, so that was the one I really enjoyed there. The next one is from, what do I have on here? Firestone Walker. And here's one that surprised me. For one thing, I don't even know what a cinnamon dolce is, but I'll tell you, I really liked it in this beer. This is the cinnamon dolce nitro stout. This is a milk stout on nitro, and this was a can. And so basically, it's one of those cans where you just pour it hard in the glass, and it does the whole nitro thing, and it does it perfect. And here's what I said about it: poured hard and was able to force the nitro cascading. Big cinnamon aroma that follows into the upfront flavor. Super creamy and smooth, vanilla and roast notes finishing up with some lingering cinnamon. This one shocked me, and it is really good. I gave it a 4 cap rating. Again, I'm not a huge milk stout fan. I've mentioned this before, but lately I've appreciated the milk stout because they're not coming across too sweet with that lactose, right? Mm-hmm. If the lactose is too big in it, I just can't handle that sweetness. But I'm telling you, the milk stouts they're making now are way better than the ones they made, 5-10 years ago. And I really enjoyed this beer, and I enjoyed it so much I've bought more of it. I've shared it with Sarah, and I wanted to share it with my daughter, and we ran out of time. I'm saving it for Christmas. I'll save it and we'll drink it together so she can try it. But this is a really good beer. If you can get Firestone Walker in your area, try the cinnamon dolce and pour it hard. The cascading effect is perfect, and it does give you that really nice creamy flavor too. I really liked it. So. Okay, next one is from Von Ebert Brewing. I've mentioned Von Ebert a few times. They're out of a Portland brewery, and they're now getting some beers in the Boise area, which I'm so happy. And I've tried everyone that I can find. This one's called Nothing Noble, and it's an IPA, American IPA. What I said about this is very tasty and uses the Idaho 7 hops to complement the other hops, which is a good thing because everyone knows how much I dislike that hop. Nice tropical flavor with a subtle dankness and berry undertones. 4 cap rating. This is when I bought this beer because it was Von Ebert, and I just buy everything I see Von Ebert regardless. And then I looked and saw what the hop was that they used, and I saw Idaho 7. I'm like, oh my gosh. Why did I freaking buy an Idaho 7 hop beer? I hate Idaho 7, but the thing is they didn't use this hop as a primary hop. They use it as a complementary hop that works very well with the other hops they were using. I think they had a collection of, let me see if I can find the beer details here. I think they had a collection of, Nelson. So they had Australian hops, Nelson, Sauvin, Galaxy. So those were, the 2 main ones, I think. And then they also had Mosaic in there. We already learned from our hop lessons that Mosaic can be anything, right? It's like a mosaic artwork. It's all kinds of things, and it does really well complementing other hops as well. So I think they really did a good job of using the Idaho 7 just right, and I really enjoyed it. And that's why I ended up giving a Idaho 7 beer a 4 cap rating.
It's a proud day.
Yeah. All right. And then again, my daughter came for Thanksgiving. I I put in my beer order. I had 3 crowlers come and a 6 and a 4-pack of cans, and she brought it. Of course, I paid for everything, but that's okay.
Thanks, Dad.
But I had a few Jim Dandy beers. I always got to talk about Jim Dandy, my favorite Idaho brewery. The one that was the highest rated one, 4.75 cap rating, is the Big Shot, and this is a double New England IPA. Oh, where did I not check this in?
No.
Oh, damn. No, I did check it in. 14 below.
You want to be a
half.
big shot, did you?
Oh, here it is. Yeah. So the Big Shot, the double New England IPA, and it has lactose in it. I think I've mentioned that I'm kind of done with lactose IPAs. I'm just tired of them. So I was a little bit hesitant, but I'll tell you what, this beer surprised me. So, oh boy, this beer is so smooth and easy drinking for a 10% double IPA. It has great pineapple, and I, at the time, I was sensing apricot, but now I don't know. I had a second can of it, and the second can I tasted a little bit something different in there, a little more like tangerine or mandarin orange type citrus, maybe the second time. So I don't know, but I said apricot, fruit hop flavor with a medium to full body, a touch of sweetness, but finishes drier. I've been over to lactose IPAs, but this beer is an exception. 4.75 cap rating. So really good beer. A little bit expensive. It's $25 for a 4-pack, which again, in other places they say that's cheap, but I'm not used to paying, that much for 4-packs of beer. I don't know, but still, it's a good beer. And the lactose wasn't too over the top. It just used enough to soften up that body and make it just a little bit, easier drinking with a double IPA. You couldn't taste any alcohol in this beer too. 10% in it. You couldn't tell it was 10%. You couldn't tell it was 6%. It was super easy drinking.
Nice.
The other one that I had from them was the 14 below, which is a Czech Pilsner. What I said about this one, sharing is caring. I shared this with a few people. Really tasty lager with big malt character, clean, crisp finish, went down quick. Love it. I am so glad that Jim Dandy went back, and this is like the first lager they brewed since opening up 3 years ago. It's hard for small breweries to devote tank space for lagers because it just takes that much longer to get that beer out. And they want to, get beers out a lot faster, but I'm glad they went back and did another lager. Their lagers are fantastic. I love this beer. 4.5 cap rating for this Czech Pilsner. So it's really good. And the last beer is called Darker Half. It's an oatmeal stout. It has coffee aroma with it following into the flavor, smooth with a thicker body, and really enjoyable drinking beer. As the beer warms, more complex and rich flavors come out. I gave this one a 4 cap rating. Okay, there we go. There's my new and noteworthy. Covered all kinds of spaces, and of course, Jim Dandy as well. All right, Chris. I said we were going to have this under an hour, but you know what? We're over an hour. But before we end the show, I always want to give you a chance and me a chance to raise a glass to someone I can raise a glass to. So who would you like to raise a glass to tonight?
So I would like to raise a glass to Margaret Blount over at Brewer Shirts. She's been the person that I have been in contact with through our entire sponsorship with them. And she said that she should be sending out Bill's gift card to him tomorrow. Okay. And just want to raise a glass to them for being just so gracious enough to give us a couple of gift cards or gift certificates that we could give out to our listeners. So Margaret and all the folks over at Brewer Shirts, cheers to you guys.
Cheers for being a nice sponsor. Thank you.
And Denny, who would you like to raise a glass to this evening?
Well, I'm going to raise my glass to our Patreon toast this week is Jeff Seiler, who may or may not still be on the line watching. Was he on the line watching?
He was earlier. Tom Byrne hopped on too. He said he was having nothing noble. He had nothing noble last night. But he also just said, cheers, fellas. Catch you on the podcast episode. Hope you had a nice Thanksgiving. So,
all right. Cheers, Tom. And since you just jumped on, I might be having my own Black Friday not Black Friday beer festival at my place around the 12th or 13th of December. So if it happens, I'll send you a text. You can come. We can share some beers. But yeah, and you know what? I'm going to give a toast to Tom Byrne too for just being a great guy and jumping on here. And at the end of the show, thinking it was going to go on for 2 hours, but no, we're ending this thing quick. Sorry for ending so quick, but it's a holiday season. We got to get these short shows out.
Hey, sometimes you need a quick one.
That's right.
Gets it going.
That's right. And of course, being a former serviceman, I always want to raise my glass and thank all those who have served and who are currently serving in the U.S. military services, protecting our freedoms. Thank you for your service, and please return home safely to your families very soon. And of course, you know what? We're done with our sponsors. One last toast to Brewer Shirts. Thank you. But we need to find a new sponsor.
Yep.
At the beginning of next year. Yeah. So for a couple of shows, we might be sponsor free. That's okay.
We're free agents at that point.
Yeah, we're free agents.
That's
we're
right.
Free agents. All right. And you can find the beers and link to the article we mentioned on the show in the show notes located on the show post at tapthecraft.com. And if you'd like to follow us on social media, I can be found on Twitter, Instagram, and Untapped at Loose Screw. And Chris, how can our listeners follow you?
So never find me on Twitter at Chris_McKenzie82, or you can find me on Untapped and Instagram at MCK1345. And of course, you can always interact with us at everything social at Tap the Craft.
All right. It is last call. It's time to bring the show to a close. We want to thank you for downloading and listening. We ask you to please tell a friend. And of course, subscribe on all your favorite podcast apps. And remember, we release a new show every 2 weeks. Now go out there and spread the good word of craft beer.
Cheers.
Cheers.